So for many people, the Rolex Submariner and the Rolex Datejust are the go-to first choice watches when looking to buy maybe your first Rolex. And with good reason. The Datejust is arguably the most accessible watch in the catalogue, and the Submariner is arguably the most recognisable watch in the catalogue. But which should you buy? Let's get into it. Welcome to Walking with Watches, a watch-related YouTube channel run by me, a simple, honest, down-to-earth watch collector who does, not as often as the channel name would suggest, like to go for a stroll in the great and the glorious outdoors and think and talk about watches with you good people out there. So we're nearly 1,000 subscribers, actually. We're well on our way. So if you want to join this community, I would really be very grateful. Datejust or Submariner? Which way should you go? Now, the Submariner Date and the Datejust 41 actually have more in common than you might first think. Some people would say the decision between the two is actually really straightforward. It's not difficult at all. Depends what you're going to use the watch for. So with the same movement inside, the difference between these watches can arguably be reduced down to which is the more water resistant, which in this case would be the Submariner. Try not to fall down a bank. Oh, God. Anyway, so most people would turn around and say, the comparison is ridiculous. It doesn't even apply. One is a steel sports diver's watch, and the other is an everyday watch leaning towards the dress. However, my honest opinion is, and certainly my experience of owning both, is that the Submariner and the Datejust 41 very rarely get pushed to their technical limits. So the deciding factor as to whether you go out and buy one of these watches will actually be in the wearing experience or your feelings on the watch's aesthetics. You might turn around and fairly criticise and say no, because the Datejust is a bit more dressy, it's got gold options. Well, the Submariner does come in a two-tone option, so let's not go down that road because they're both available in dressy, fancy, blingy varieties. So for most people going out to buy one of these watches, especially if it's their first Rolex, it's not about buying a watch that's technically capable of achieving certain things. For most people, it'll be about going out and buying a watch which has a significant financial value, I'm gonna fall over and break my neck again, a significant financial value, as well as a sense of achievement. Maybe it's a life milestone, and it may well be the only Rolex they go on to own. The reason for the purchase then isn't implicitly about what the watch is technically capable of, or even what the watch was intended for when it was designed and conceived and built. I suppose all I can tell you then is this. I own both watches, I love both watches, I'm wearing my Datejust now. Which watch do I think would be the good go-to choice? What's my advice to you as a potential buyer? What should you go out there and what should you do about it? So my first piece of advice is go to your local Rolex AD. Don't be embarrassed about it or, afraid of getting the shrug off because, they're quite good at that. My first piece of advice would be go in there and try them on. It sounds like we're stating the obvious. YouTube can be good for helping you to arrange your thoughts, and that's all I hope this video is doing. But the first thing is you must try them both on. And the Datejust in its variety of sizes. The 36mm Datejust, particularly in two-tone, is really a spectacular watch. The second thing you should bear in mind is be mindful of your bracelet choice. It completely changes the categorization and the feeling of the watch. The Jubilee bracelet, some think is a bit blingy, perhaps it's a bit delicate, possibly even a bit feminine. And the Oyster bracelet is your conventional, beefy, sportly, manly type of design. I own both, and that's total rubbish. The Oyster bracelet is cracking looking, no doubt about it, but the Jubilee bracelet shouldn't be discounted. It's more comfortable and it's more scratch resistant. Those small 5 links that roll together mean that the watch doesn't act like the scratch magnet in the way that a Submariner does if you're going to daily these watches. Now, if you are going to daily these watches, you probably don't care about scratches because it's the reality of ownership. The extra water resistance offered by the Submariner may sound good in principle, but ask yourself, do you really need it? Is that extra ability to go deep sea diving really something you're going to do on an everyday basis? And if it is, maybe you should be looking at more modern products to make sure you don't, get into a pickle under the water. Now, the Submariner is a watch which does get a little bit of a sort of bad reputation through parts of the watch collecting community because there's a sort of resentment at the increasing price. There is a kind of middle management vibe about the Submariner. It does have this sort of slightly, it just has this sort of whiff about it, a whiff of the golf club, should I say. Nothing wrong with golf, by the way. I'm actually thinking about taking up golf. I think I'm getting to that age now, to be honest. The Datejust, on the other hand, will get you, which you may or may not want, by the way. I don't really like it. The Datejust will also get you slightly more sideways looks. If you are interested in the flex value of your watch, the Submariner will impress more people on Instagram, but the Datejust will actually catch the eye of more people in the real world. Most people don't notice what watch you've got, and something that's a bit blingy and a bit show-offy, like this fluted Jubilee Datejust, will get more looks. I didn't know that when I bought them, to be honest. I didn't expect that, but it's something I have seen and have experienced, and it's one of the things that I think about when I'm selecting my watch for the day. We've fallen on all of this. Actually, we're saying that the caliber inside the watches gives them no objective difference. The water resistance does, but the wearing experience is slightly different. They're both 41mm cases. They don't wear the same, as you'll know when you try them on. I feel the Submariner actually wears slightly large, whereas the Datejust either wears true or slightly small. The Datejust is also a thinner case profile, which you will enjoy. Although potentially for the big, beefier type of man, you might want to watch with a bit more presence. And again, that will lend itself nicely to the Submariner. The retail prices coming out of Rolex no longer help sway your decision either, particularly if you're going two-tone or you're going white gold, which I did. The actual price difference between the two is negligible. If you are going to go to the grey market, however, you'll start to see slightly bigger variance in prices. The difficulty of getting a Submariner from your authorised dealer, I'm afraid to say, is a real thing, and it's something you should be mindful about as well. Things like spend history and the so-called AD games exist to a larger or lesser degree. I must admit the AD that I have shopped with before has been pretty decent. There have been waiting times involved for watches, but generally they're pretty realistic. They do honour them and they are true to their quotes. So find yourself a good AD, it'll make your life a lot easier. If you are going to be in for the Submariner, just to be aware, it might be a more difficult process, which is a shame. It shouldn't be that way, but it's just the reality of the world we live in. So ultimately go away, try them on. If you want some difference of opinion, I own both. The Submariner is my most worn watch because it was something I always aspired to own. There's an emotional sort of connection with that watch for me. But I actually think if you're only going to buy one Rolex, I think you should take a very serious look at the Datejust. I did make a video on this subject. Do go ahead and watch it. It's my sort of love letter to the Datejust. But I think the Datejust, what it offers in terms of variety, does give it a slight edge. The difference in sizes, the difference in bracelets is huge. The sort of dial variations that you have, you can dress it up, dress it down. It's an extremely versatile watch. So for me, the Submariner possibly is more iconic. It's possibly more sort of collector cool. But I have to say, I think the coin lands on the side of the Datejust, to be honest. If it's a direct straight shootout between the two, the water resistance side of the Submariner is cool. And if you are maybe more of a macho type of man than I am, then maybe the Submariner with its slightly beefier presence might be more to your taste. But if you're looking to buy that one watch, I have to say, I think you could do a heck of a lot worse than going for a Datejust. I really think they are superb. The fact that they're readily available, or at least more available, shouldn't enter into your decision-making process at all. A Datejust or a Submariner will last you a lifetime with regular care. They are absolutely excellent watches. Whichever way you're thinking of going, you're making a good choice. Your collection's going in the right direction. So you go for it, folks. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this channel is all about watch collections, watch conversations, interacting with you guys, and just enjoying the watch collecting hobby in a slightly less I'm trying to sell you stuff sort of way. This has been Walking with Watches. I hope this conversation has helped, or at least sparked your conversations in your own head. So anyway, you guys take care, take it easy, peace out, and I'm gonna go home. I think it's about to start raining.